Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We'll do this a third time. Very unfortunate that we're starting so late. We had a lot of technical difficulties. Things that were tested and worked when they were tested did not work when we tried to set them up. And this led to an extra significant amount of delay. I'm bending down so I can be seen on the camera. But yeah, my name is Chris Montgomery. I use they them pronouns and I'm president of the Green Party of Manitoba. I'm very pleased to introduce everyone to the 2023 leadership debate. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we sit and stand today on the lands of the Anishinaabeg, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene Peoples on Treaty 1 territory, as well as the heartland of the Métis Nation and the former grounds of Rooster Town. I further acknowledge that the work of the Green Party of Manitoba extends into territories under Treaties 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. The Green Party of Manitoba is a participant in a colonial system of governance in a colonial province. In our work as a political party, we must remain conscious both of the role colonial governments have and continue to play in the marginalisation, exploitation, and genocide of indigenous peoples, but also the role they must play in facilitating partnership, growth, reconciliation, and the return of stolen lands. The GPM is a party committed to sustainability, environmental stewardship, human rights, and consensus building. We must ensure that spaces are made for Indigenous leadership and initiatives to thrive, as it is only with such cooperation and leadership that the immense history and knowledge behind it as these initiatives may be successful. So without further ado, and there's been a lot of ado, I would like to introduce the moderator for tonight's debate for the third conveniently Auburn City. Thanks to be here. His name is Devlin Hinchey. He is a member of the Executive Council of the Green Party of Manitoba, as well as co-chair of the Recruitment, Training, and Retention Committee. We call it RCR because it's a lot easier. But in any case, I will hand it off to Devlin to continue with the debate and go off into my little corner.
Great. Thank you, Pearson. I will.
I can no longer hear.
Let's try this again. See, you didn't have to listen to my voice for a period of time there. I'd like to welcome everybody in the room here for attending the leadership contest debate this evening, as well as everybody online that is also attending. I'd like to also thank the candidates, both in person, Nick Geddert and Donovan McIntosh, as well as online, Janine Gibson and Bayomi. So what I'll start off with is a brief overview of the format and rules of the debate. So what we'll start off with is the format will be structured into introductory statements by each of the four candidates. We'll have a section of questions, approximately 6 questions for each candidate, or more of a topic area for them to discuss. And then finally, we'll have a closing remarks from each of the candidates. The candidate speaking time will be 90 seconds. I will give a heads up warning after 1 minute and 20 seconds, so with 10 seconds left. So that way you know to kind of start wrapping things up. During each question, I will start off with explaining what the topic area is. I'll give a bit of a preamble on the question, and then I'll pause and give the question itself. If someone needs to, they can ask me to speak and rephrase the question or reread the question in case there are any misunderstandings. And then finally, as far as the order of the introduction, the questions, and then the closing remarks, myself and the rest of the leadership committee, including Pearson, Laura Rollick, and Daniel, we did a randomized order to start off with. And then for each subsequent question, the person who went first will now go last the next question, and we'll rotate that all the way through. So does anybody have any questions before we get started? Great. So I'm hoping that if I change on my phone here to go to the stopwatch, that I will not mute myself. I guess if it mutes myself, it'll be fine. But we're going to start off with the introduction of each candidate. So the order will be, we'll start with Dennis. Then once Dennis is done, we'll go to Janine. And then once Janine is done, we'll go to Nick. And then after Nick, we'll finalize with Donovan. So Dennis, if you are okay, we'll get started with yourself.
I'll just check my audio is working. Yeah. Good. Well, good evening, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Dennis Bayomi, and I'm very pleased and honored to be one of the candidates running to be the next leader of the Green Party of Manitoba. Before I go further, I'd like to thank our outgoing leader, James Bedham, for leading our party for these many years. We thank you, James, for your devotion and accomplishments, both in our party and in Manitoba politics in general. And I hear from my scouts that, James, you're in the audience. So this is out to you. Thanks so much for all you've done for the party. Now, I'm running for leader of the party as I feel strongly that our party can make an impact in the upcoming provincial general election. So many Manitobans, especially young Manitobans, are fed up and hungry for an alternative to the three bigger parties. I truly believe our party provides that alternative. Contrary to what many believe, we are not a single issue party. Indeed, we have a full platform that rivals any of the other parties. We have to get that message out there loud and clear, and I'm confident I can help do that. I should say at this point that I'm most interested in being part of a leadership team, potentially consisting of the leader, deputy leader, and possibly 2 assistant deputy leaders. As part of that team, I would help recruit and develop talented individuals to our party and help them reach their potential in whatever ways they're willing and able. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'm looking forward to tonight's event.
Dennis.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Can you hear me, Janine?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Thank
I
you.
didn't go on to mute when I went to the speaker. So if you would like to start, you can go right ahead.
Thank you. Merci, Miigwech. Thank you for this opportunity of service. Merci pour cette opportunité de service. I welcome to all those who have joined us, and I echo Dennis in his kind acknowledgement of the many years of service that James Bedham has shared with the party. So I'm honored to stand with him and with the other contestants for consideration as part of this leadership team. I agree with Dennis that I'm working to be part of a leadership team with these other hardworking local champions who've put their name forward. I have worked through my business, Creative Health Consulting, supporting agriculture in Manitoba and across Canada, a more resilient organic agriculture, which is an important part of life here in Manitoba. But I know there are so many issues in Winnipeg that need to be addressed that I'm counting on working with my urban colleagues to be addressing those issues as well. For I feel the basic principles of organic agriculture really reflect the basic principles that the green values and the green vision put forward in the kinds of changes we want to see. So many of us recognize the crisis that's going on in the world in many ways. And the organic principles and green principles are a pathway of addressing not only hunger and malnutrition that exist in Winnipeg and our urban cities, but also the issues of poverty, water use, climate change, and unsustainable production and consumption. Thank you for your time with us this evening.
Thank you, Janine. Next in the order, we'll be moving on to Nick.
Did we? Oh,
Should
shall we
Nick,
do that again?
We'll start off, yeah, because you obviously weren't being heard, so.
Okay. Yeah. So again, thank you to James for his decades of service to the party and to Manitoba and Manitobans. Thank you again to all the people in the audience and online that are supporting. So yeah, we had already talked. We've already mentioned, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot of it yet through the debates, how big teamwork is, and how important team is to what we're doing and how we're going to affect change. We are in a time of change. We've experienced a lot of it in society going through COVID, and we've began to see those mechanisms to reset ourselves. And I think, I know we've been ready as a Green Party for a long time for that kind of change, and I think that we have the opportunity now to be that kind of change in the province. And I think that there are a lot of people that are going to get excited about that. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get people excited. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nick. And then finally, our last introduction will be Donovan.
Guess I don't have to unmute. Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Donovan. My pronouns are they, them. Throughout this leadership, I keep saying the words, I want us to be the party that values the future above all else. I want to be the party of the future, whatever. And within that, something I've hoped I've made clear is a lot of that is we need to be diplomatic in a way that we are valuing our future, that we consider our past experiences and that we learn from them, but we look at ourselves as a collective, which is absolutely the, I believe, core of leadership. I'm not going to begin a rant on or attempt to oppose the idea of representative politics, but in a sense, I think there's a lot of opportunity here in the way we conduct ourselves and the way we'd like to see this our future in a much more equal, much more representative system of politics in the way that we present ourselves moving forward. That is absolutely the importance of teamwork. In my saying the party of the future, I of course realize the future is created exclusively off of the present. That's why in the present, we must move on these things. And in the present, we must be willing to, at times, take risks like this and look at new models of leadership and such. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Donovan. So next we'll move into the portion where we have discussion about various topics. So the first topic will be in the area of leadership style. We will start with Janine, then Nick, Donovan, and Dennis. So regarding leadership style, the leader is the forward-facing spokesperson of the Green Party of Manitoba, responsible to lead our public communications efforts and our team of candidates and potentially MLAs. As leader, how would you describe your leadership style? So Janine, we will start with you.
Unmuted. Am I now unmuted? Thank you. I believe I bring a lot of experience having founded and lived on a cooperative farm for over 30 years. I know what it is to listen deeply to others and to summarize and then share. I have a lot of experience through my career in my business, creative health consulting, in representing Manitoba on the national agricultural stage, and use that to speak clearly and succinctly to the topics that I'm asked to address. My team approach is based on the fact that all of us together are smarter than any one of us. We all have our challenges and our strengths, and working together, we will build on those strengths and help each other deal with the challenges we face. Communication is very key. It's a key aspect of my work and the roles that I've been asked to play throughout my career as a businesswoman and a consultant. And I believe those are strengths that I can bring to help more people understand the importance of systemic change, of a paradigm shift that the Green Party can help facilitate here in Manitoba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janine. Next for the question will be Nick.
Thank you, Devlin. Thank you, Janine. So my leadership style, I come from a construction project management background. I've also had a lot of coaching experience, especially with youth. And I guess if I had to define it, I would say it's learn to play, play to learn. I think that when we get out and we're active and we're playing with politics, and not in the sense that it's a childish thing, but in the fact that we are able to see it maybe as a child, that we are taking a fresh look, and that we are coming at it with a vision to change things, and that will take risk, like Donovan says. That will take planning and teamwork, and so that to me is sort of the exciting part about politics, is that we have the opportunity to occupy a different political space, that we have the opportunity to do things differently, and I think even this is an example of it, that we are, not having a traditional debate. I don't imagine that I'm going to be tearing any of my fellow candidates to shreds, as you so often see in politics. We are playing a better way. We're going to, come together and make a melody instead of trying to scream over each other and to be heard. So I think we will all have very, very useful, very helpful, very insightful things to say, and so we'll do that.
Great, thank you, Nick. Next in the order will be going to Donovan.
Yeah, so I don't want to say this necessarily comes from a place of pessimism, but ultimately I think I understand the weaknesses of kind of a representative democracy. I understand that the balance of power for one person in their one human avatar form, in a sense, to be the one responsible for how many hundreds or thousands of people inherently is not exactly something a human is designed to do. So absolutely. So recognizing that weakness within yourself and turning it into a strength, turning it into being willing to both rely on, to give responsibility to, but give respect to. And I mean, it's part of my recruitment style and leadership style is very much based off this idea that the best way to get somebody to trust you, and this has been shown through studies, is to ask them a favor. The best way to get somebody on board with what you want to do is to give them something to do immediately. So to immediately put trust into everybody around me, to put responsibility on their shoulders, in a sense, in a safe way, is the best way to show respect to them and to spread the load and to recognize the weaknesses within myself and make a stronger party overall. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Donovan. And lastly, we'll move on to Dennis for his 90 seconds on the topic.
Thanks, Devlin. I'd start by saying, as you've heard from others, that I'm very much a team-oriented person and would work hard to ensure that we build a team that works well together. Ensuring that team members can find a comfortable place to make their contribution and reach their potential in whatever way they wish would be one of my top priorities. A leader is a mentor, a coach, and I'd be very comfortable in that role. I also believe our leaders should work with the leaders of other Green parties, not only across the country, but around the world. And some of you might disagree with this, as well as with leaders of the other Manitoba political parties. And I would be very interested in doing all of the above.
Great. Thank you very much, Dennis. Next, we'll move on to our second topic area, which is green values. So the order for this section will be Nick, then Donovan, then Dennis, and ending with Janine. So green parties around the world are founded on 6 key principles or green values: ecological wisdom, social justice, participatory democracy, nonviolence, sustainability, and respect for diversity. Though united by these values, there are many vastly different ideas among Greens on how to build a green society. The question is, what is your interpretation of green values? And as a leader, how will you unite members with differing views and put forward a cohesive green vision that appeals to all Manitobans? So Nick, we're ready to start with yourself.
We
Start again.
do this again. Excuse me. Okay, you hear me now? So yeah, green values. I think we have. Well, I know we are a different kind of party in that we're not as entirely economically oriented, and I think that gives us room for what I think is the most important part is using ecological wisdom. And to me, wisdom serves two purposes. It tells us what's going on, and if we look at that through an ecological lens, we can see the whole picture. And wisdom also is there to ease human suffering, and if we are using that knowledge and coming from nature to do that, I think we don't have to deal as much with people who want to contribute to human suffering, although that is, comes with the economy. But I think we are able to reach out and do it in all the little ways that we can. All the we can have policies and we can have relationships with organizations, and all that kind of stuff builds on what I think develops into all those other green policies. So to get Manitobans all agreeing on one thing is maybe a tall task, but I mean it's the environment, and we're all living here, so we're all in this together anyways.
Great, thank you very much, Nick. Next, we'll move on to Donovan.
I'd like to begin by apologizing to Nick for forgetting to mute him twice in a row. About that, not a sabotage attempt. No. So I think inherent to the idea of the green values is that these aren't 6 separated bullet points, that there is overlap, and that the concept of the Green Party is that overlap, is the coming together of all of those ideas. So inherently, I believe very much in policy intersectionality, that truly there is no part of any political policy that is completely separated from any other policy. And as such, we need to be presenting and accepting to ourselves, and working within that idea in all the policy we do and in how we conduct ourselves as a party. I really believe once we can show the world and show ourselves really how every single thing is interconnected, how it creates this web, then I believe we'll be able to pull in a lot of people, because they kind of pull on one thread of it, they enter in and they see, oh, well, this was caused by this. They might have really liked one of our policies, and as they see the chain and how each policy kind of relies on each other and falls on each other, they'll kind of get sucked into the green vortex, like I think a lot of us have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Sorry, Donovan. I'm reading on the screen that Dennis is up next. So Donovan, Dennis, both with Ds. So Dennis, we'll move on to yourself and your response to the question, please.
Thank you, Devlin. Another D. So green values are based on the 6 principles of the global greens, as Devlin's just listed a moment ago. And as you've heard from Nick and from Donovan, the fundamental understanding is that all life on Earth is interconnected, and we have a responsibility to protect and preserve our natural environment. I think the best way for us Greens to interpret these is to live them in our daily lives and be role models for our friends and neighbors who may not necessarily or explicitly subscribe to these same principles. To encourage all Manitobans to unite under a cohesive green vision is unquestionably a massive undertaking. So I'd like to talk to whoever fielded this question, because it is a big and significant one. But I'm not naive to think this is something that will happen overnight or within a single election cycle. Instead, it'll happen over many, many years and over many, many conversations and interactions. We can do this one person at a time, recognizing that everyone is different and in a different place. We have to approach each Manitoban with respect and compassion, and where possible, find their place and how they might best incorporate green values. Some are small business owners, operators, others are educators, some are parents, some are recently arrived from faraway lands, some are young, some are not so young. Everyone will have a different place and perspective, but at the end of the day, the best way is for us to be good role models and friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. We're starting to get in the swing of things now. Now moving on to Janine, if you'd like to take your 90 seconds to respond to the topic as well.
Thank you very much. Yes, the green values have been the foundation of how I've striven to live off-grid and with solar and wind power only for the last 30 years in an effort to be the role model and mentor that Dennis so rightly points out we need to be. I strive to honor all our relations, and in doing so, really respect the diversity of perspectives that we come from. That diversity is the foundation of organic principles, which I think are so closely connected to green principles in that they stress health, ecology, fairness, and care as the basis of what we're trying to unite for the green vision, to help people practice in their daily lives. If we can each just move ourselves 1 degree towards more fully living what we know in our hearts as well is right for us, then we become our own mentors and are able to inspire those around us. So honoring the fairness that ensures that no one lives with poverty, honoring that we work for electoral reform so that all of us have an opportunity to have our voices fully heard. With that, we can have a society that has more fairness and more care, which I think are the essence of the green vision that I hope to be part of the team to bring to Manitobans. Thank you. Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Janine. So moving on to our next topic area will be policy priorities. So we'll be starting with Donovan, then Dennis, Janine, and then Nick. So let's make sure we remember to unmute Donovan so we don't have the same challenges. And we'll try and remember again for you, Nick, as we get back to your turn.
Appreciate it.
So in the area of policy, the Green Party of Manitoba has a democratic policy development system where policies are set by the members and not by the leader independently. The leader, however, is responsible to promote these member-driven policies to the public and the media. What do you feel are your greatest policy area priorities? I'm starting off with Donovan.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to dodge the question by just saying intersectionality because I kind of gave that full speech last answer. It would be my answer. Policy priorities, absolutely. I almost feel bad saying the environment because the environment is such a massive intersectional thing. I think it screens we've accepted must be cut into many different sectors. Specifically, the sector of animal agriculture is incredibly important to me in terms of both, how we can systemically reduce it, but also how we can personally convince people to switch over their own diets. It is both largely a systemic thing in terms of making these systems a lot more accessible and a personal thing in terms of also accessibility and being willing and seeing the benefits going forward on that. I could list every section of policy I care about. That was definitely the one I've come into since I was very, very young, growing through that and seeing how that connects to the climate. So I still have some time. Obviously, democratic reform, I'm agreeing, lowering the voting age is so incredibly essential to our democracy. Queer advocacy is something I very much enjoy and have very much done a lot of in the past. Thank you. Good question.
Good question. Thank you very much, Donovan.
90 seconds, never know.
You think 90 seconds is long until you start getting in the middle of a question like that. Next, we'll move on to Dennis, if you want to give your response.
And make sure he's unmute. Oh, Dennis is not the muted issue. It's Nick that always gets,
Yeah, Nick is the last one. Remember, Nick after yourself, Janine.
okay.
Am I next or Nick? I'm willing to go if.
You are, Dennis.
Okay. Well, I have 4 policy areas, and in priority order, they'd start with number 1, the climate emergency. And rather than take my valuable 90 seconds up on this very important topic, I'd refer you to the first website mentioned tonight, denisbayomi.com, for a lot more information on the climate emergency and some of the things that I propose. But number 2 is basic income. It's the key to addressing poverty, homelessness, addiction, and crime, as well as poor outcomes in education and health. I'm glad to see that our friends in the Manitoba Liberal Party have started talking about it recently, and we just have to keep working on it through this next campaign. Number 3 is changing the focus from healthcare to health, emphasizing upstream approaches to good health. We really need to focus on the root causes of health and illness, especially poverty, and emphasize health promotion and disease prevention. And finally, as Donovan mentioned, electoral reform is number 4 on my list. Manitobans are disengaged and some are downright hostile to politics. We need to fix our system with lower maximum allowed political donations, lower voting age, a ranked ballot as the next step to proportional rep, term limits, and citizen assemblies. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Next, we will move on to Janine for your response.
Thank you. Very well said, Dennis. I was going to direct people to our greenparty.mb.ca, our policies, because I'm very proud of the hard work that our policy developers have done in outlining them. And I really urge all of those listening to become familiar with what the hard work that has gone into that. Personally, of course, I have spent my life trying to support conversion of away from industrial extractive agriculture that's very much based on synthetic inputs. And that falls to me under fair living income for both farmers, our hardworking food producers, and everyone. So that's one of the 4 areas I really feel that I have to credit Dennis for the clarity that he brings to them, because I also feel that a preventative approach to healthcare is absolutely crucial, and focusing on making sure that people have enough money to be able to afford healthy food is why I put a fair living income first, and then a preventative approach to healthcare. Having come from a family with addiction and mental health issues, I feel that the privilege that I've had to be on the land and grow my own vegetables and food has gone a long way towards helping me be a healthier person. And electoral reform, I really think it's important that we do change that. And of course, addressing the climate emergency primarily through changing agriculture in Manitoba to be more sustainable and resilient. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much, Janine. And next, we'll move on to Nick, and we'll check to make sure Nick is unmuted before we start.
All right. I think we're live.
Go, Nick.
So everything that everyone else said is great and absolutely should be a priority. I don't think that we're going to disagree too much. It is sometimes just a matter of what we have energy and passion for, and my energy and my passion is in housing, construction, and building. I think that we have an opportunity to change our material life cycles. I think we can be a world leader in material recycling and products that are ecological, that use ecological wisdom in their manufacture. And I think that housing is also one of the greatest opportunities we have, especially in Winnipeg, with especially an old housing stock, to become more energy efficient, become more connected to our energy infrastructure, to have higher health standards for our homes. I think all these things are within reach, and the technology is there, and the willingness is there. I mean, we need training. We need the government to adopt the newest building codes, which it hasn't done since 2016. And there's 2 versions of building codes that we have missed, and that's the kind of management that we've had. And that's something that I would change. And I think housing is the place to do it. Housing is the #1 social support that we need, and housing first.
All right. Great, thank you very much, Nick. So our next topic area will be election strategy. So in this section, Dennis will be going first, then Janine, Nick. Before Nick starts, we're going to check to make sure he's unmuted.
Am I still on?
And then going on to Donovan. So election strategy. By the time one of you become leader, there will be less than 7 months until the 43rd general election. In your view, what should the Green Party of Manitoba's strategy and goals be for the election? How would you, as leader, work towards achieving those goals? So we'll start with you, Dennis.
Thanks, Devlin. Being the leadoff speaker, I think what I'll do is just outline all of the strategies that my three colleagues will describe in more detail after my turn. Quite seriously, though, I think we're on the right track already. I think with our RTR committee, I think with membership, I think with communications, we're actually getting in good shape. And if anyone's watching from the other parties, look out, because the Greens are a party to be contended with. We're going to be ready for this general election. Clearly, we want to recruit more volunteers and candidates. We like to fill out the slate as much as possible, so we have 57 keen and enthusiastic and outstanding candidates, and get out to as many community events, candidate forums as we can. I think I'll pass it over to the other three to elaborate more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Next, we'll move on to Janine.
Thank you very much, Devlin. Yes, I'm looking forward to working as part of this leadership team to mobilize both youth and seniors, because stats show it's us seniors that do most of the voting. But I want to get that engagement of the youth is so important as well. And I think we do this by increasing our communication. As said earlier, I'm very proud of our values, but so many folks don't know about them. So we can build engagement, elicit more volunteer support, and hopefully get more candidates willing to stand up for the values they believe in through very clear messaging. And I think we can do this through having a powerful communications a committee that looks at building this activism and engagement, as Dennis said earlier, by focusing on what individuals want to contribute. I know for myself, being politically active is a wonderful anger management, stress management technique, where I feel I'm doing what I can to light, rather than curse the darkness, light the candle. And so that's the approach that I think will help the Green Party get our values out there and get the support that we need, both financially and in terms of volunteer and candidates. So those listening in, please do be prepared to send us a check and also put your name on an action to-do list. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Janine. I like your optimism that sometimes politics will sometimes make me more frustrated. It won't necessarily relieve stress, but increase my stress at times. Next, moving on, we will talk to Nick. And are you unmuted, Nick?
It'll be in a second, yes.
There we go. Oops.
All right. All right, we're live. Thank you. So I have been thinking a lot about the upcoming campaign. I think we all have, and I think what I would like to do is I think we need to put the party back in party. Dennis has said this a lot. I'm sure everyone else has, but we need to have fun while we're doing this. And I think that's how we get out and engage people. We don't need to run attack ads like other parties will. I'm sure we'll hear more than enough of that. We don't need to need to compete with the other parties on their ground. We have our own ground, and I think that's with cultivation that will be fertile ground. And so I think we do this by not so much campaigning as curating. I think we can be like my fellow leadership candidates have all said, we can be the example, and that's being polite, courteous in our politics, in our dialogues and in our discussions, being positive, forward thinking, and creating a space that is safe for real democratic politics to happen, creating creating dialogue that doesn't come out in the usual ways. We need to, I think, maybe relax a little bit so that we can get serious and get focused. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And lastly, we will move on to Donovan for his response to the question.
Okay, big question. Would you mind repeating the question just so I don't go too off?
Certainly, this is the first time I get to repeat the question. Excellent. So by the time one of you becomes leader, there will be less than 7 months until the 43rd general election. In your view, what should the Green Party of Manitoba's strategy and goals be for the election? How would you as leader work towards achieving those goals?
Hi, thanks. So for me, it's kind of a 2-point strategy, which I tend to go over 10. So first is communicating with and overall changing our relationship with different community groups. So far, I feel like a lot of our relations with community groups very much been, we're asking them for something. We're like, hey, can we have a spot at your event? Can we speak? Can we have which is absolutely fine, but I think we need to be changing the narrative that we are offering something to them. We are providing them. We are providing them with a vote alternative. We're providing them with a binding way to make their activism work, for their activism to come across in the form of actual votes. In terms of goals overall, I think very much activating new voter bases is what I want to do. I've seen many, I'm very much in the politically active youth space, and frankly, the low voting rate among youth is shocking. I'm sure, and the low voting rate among any demographics. I think that should really be going to our next election. Our focus is to activate them, talk to them, communicate with them, consult with them, show them we're here to offer you something and we want your advice and we want you to be part of us going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donovan. Now moving into our 5th area, and that will be long-term vision. The Green Party of Manitoba will turn 25 this November, and in that time, it will have contested 7 general elections. What is your vision to ensure the Green Party of Manitoba's continued presence and success in Manitoba, both during and outside of election years, in or out of the legislature? So this area, we'll start with Janine, then Nick, then Donovan, then Dennis. So Janine, if you're ready to proceed.
Yes, thank you. So my long-term vision involves starting with thanking people like Dave Nickers, who came so close to being our first Green MLA. And I hope to be able to work in other campaigns like that just to support that we do have a clear voice in our legislative assembly. But to do that, I think we need to strengthen our committee work, build our committees, especially as I mentioned earlier, the ones where we communicate our green policies and our response, so that when there are press releases put out by other parties, the Green Party has a press release ready to go on the subject as well. So folks know more what our positions are, and we get more engagement, because these green policies, this green vision, it requires constant input. And so we want to strengthen our networks and our partnerships with others interested in making change, to be more respectful in how we treat one another within the democratic process and its implications in our communities. So basically, it's a communication focus that I think is important. So and so part of that is relying on humor. I really like what Nick says about put the party in Green Party, and Dennis has also inspired me to remember that
10
humor.
seconds.
So I just want to say, you know, as Kermit the Frog sings so wisely, it ain't easy being green, but together we can express the compassion that Manitobans need. The compassion for all biology, including us human beings, as part of the biology. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Next, we'll move on to Nick, and now I'm in the habit of checking to make sure Nick is unmuted.
Are we good? You want both of us?
No.
You can catch your reaction.
Okay, go ahead. Great, Nick.
So yeah, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, I can, and I'll reset my timer.
Actually, can you repeat it for the first time?
Yes. The Green Party of Manitoba will turn 25 this November, and in that time it will have contested 7 general elections. What is your vision to ensure the Green Party of Manitoba's continued presence and success in Manitoba, both during and outside of election years, in or out of the legislature?
So I think the first step is demonstrating publicly who we are and doing that through our actions. So that's carving a niche in our communities. That's connecting with the people that not only share our values, but maybe share our occupations, share our spaces, and share what is unique about us. We have come to the Green Party, I think, a lot of us, because it's different. And I mean, personally, that's I've tried other political parties and none of them tasted right. So I think again, the opportunity we have in being unique is that we get the opportunity to be the innovator in politics. We have the opportunity to try things that other parties either are afraid of doing for fear of losing votes, that are beholden to in their ideologies, and I think we can do that. So I think that's what we need to do is again communicate to the public who we are and what we are about, and be out there and be public and be visible. And I think that leads us to good showings. That leads us to finding the candidates that want to run, and that leads us to energizing Manitobans to all of us be a little bit greener.
Thank you very much, Nick. Next, move on to Donovan for their response.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I love what Nick said about being the party willing to try out new things. And inherently, there is a bit of strategic risk in that, in reaching out specifically to groups who we know do not vote as much and campaigning to the people who aren't voting. But absolutely, we're in a great position to be attempting things like that. In terms of long-term vision of the party, I don't want there to be a question when there are environmental protests and such, and environmental community groups doing amazing work, of what type of partisanship they could be involved with, of who they could support, of, well, this politician from this party might not want us all to die. That I want us to be the default. And in that, generally, these organizations don't really have too much reason to care about election year. So by being their default, to be their it party, to be providing, hopefully, as I like to see it, providing a service to them throughout the year that will also be giving us a lot more gas of sorts between election years, where things can tend to dip down if we are in with them. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Donovan. I had forgot to put the timer on, so I was estimating around where you're at because I got distracted momentarily. I'm happy that's only happened once so far this evening. Next, after Donovan, we will go to Dennis.
Thanks, Devlin. I guess the advantage of being last is I can fill in the gaps if there are any, and I don't think there are any. Well done, you others. So I have under long-term vision, first off, start planning for the general election in 2027, October 5th. Not on October 4th after the election, but on the 5th, because October 4th, we need to have a big fun day. I think my colleagues have already talked about the fun factor. October 4th, pencil that in. That's our big green celebration day. Then on October 5th, we get busy for the next 4 years on the next general election. So that means we got to build our capacity, especially our green youth wing, as you've heard earlier. Develop an older persons, AKA seniors wing, which you've heard about earlier. We've got to ensure Manitobans no longer look at us as a single issue party. You heard me say that earlier. And I'd like us to develop some kind of idea exchanges with other international green parties. I think there's a lot we can do to share our experiences and learn from others. I guess finally, if I can read my notes, have Manitobans knock on our doors rather than us go to them to support us with donations, memberships, and to run as candidates. I think that would be the ideal objective for Manitobans to come to us to get involved. Thank you.
10 seconds. Thank you very much, Dennis. Did you want to post your address for the fun day after the election now, or do you want to post that later?
It will be known to one and all across the land.
Thank you very much, Dennis. So moving on to the last question, which is the topic is the post-leadership contest. So in this section, we'll start off with Nick, then Donovan, Dennis, and finally with Janine. At the end of the leadership contest, there will be a new leader selected and 3 unsuccessful applicants. If you do not become the leader, what are your plans to continue to help move the Green Party of Manitoba forward? So Janine, I'm sorry, Nick, we'll start with you and we'll check, make sure you're not muted.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
So Devlin, first of all, I have to take issue with your calling 3 candidates unsuccessful. I think we have prepared and we're all on board to have a successful campaign for 4 candidates. But after that's done, it's time to get to work. I mean, we've mentioned a few times, you know, we've gotten together as a team and we're figuring out how that works now. And that's part of what this process is doing for us. You know, we trial by fire and we're starting to gel as a team. So it's it's going out and doing all the things that we're talking about now, and you know, putting getting feet on the pavement and making those connections, talking to the communities and talking to the other parties and working on plans and finding better solutions for all Manitobans.
Great. Thank you very much, Nick.
And
I have a script.
And what
I also do have some creative
license,
license, so maybe it's me or maybe it's the script. So next we'll move on to Donovan for their response.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, quite literally, I'm going to be the candidate for Wolseley, so that'll be fun. Very much everything I say I want to do as leader, I want to do as a candidate. All of these same strategies I want to take forward. It's arguable whether it's a bigger or smaller scale, being an electioneer, the size of the party, all of these same ideas, reactivating or activating voter bases that feel left behind is incredibly important. Developing relationships between the party and community organizations in the NA party, incredibly important. And I hope to do all of those things as a candidate moving forward. Beyond that, I mean, well, an unsuccessful leadership race, it really won't stop the core of what I've been trying to do, of how I know I've never been inspired by the, yeah, you can grab the title of leadership. In the same way, I haven't been inspired by much, except the world is dying and it needs champions to be fighting for it. And that's all that matters. So I'm going to keep fighting. Title, no title, does it matter? Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Donovan. Next, we'll move on to Dennis.
So thanks, Devlin. And I have to second Nick's comments there, Devlin, that there are no unsuccessful candidates in this leadership run. In fact, I feel very strongly that we're recruiting and building a leadership team, not just selecting a leader. I believe soon after March 26th, when our new leader is announced, the new leader with council should appoint a deputy leader. And as you heard me say before, I think we should even go further and create 2 assistant deputy leader positions. In addition, I think all 4 of these positions should have some sort of oversight for key policy areas, for example, environment, health, education, etc., and ultimately help build a shadow cabinet with other GPM members. And yes, one day we will have enough members to have a full shadow cabinet, so don't worry. Now, if I don't become the new leader, I would be just as comfortable being part of the leadership team as the deputy leader if chosen, or as one of the assistant deputy leaders. And if nothing else, I can always lead the Green Party's bowling team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And then lastly, we will move to Janine for your response.
Oh, thank you for making me laugh, Dennis. That's wonderful. So right, I'm with you folks. There are no, there's going to be no loss. If I am not elected as leader, I'll be very happy to serve as assistant deputy or deputy leader in charge of agriculture and agricultural policy or something in that nature. I plan to be running for La Vérendrye. Given that this is an extremely conservative area, I'll be mostly talking about the greenwashing that CO Silica is doing as it threatens our drinking water quality out here. Excuse me. I'll be working hard to build a strong communication team with our leadership team. And that, of course, will include outreach for youth, outreach for seniors, lobbying intensively about housing, and reaching out to the disenfranchised. One of the things that's really kept me going is how many folks have said, thank you for making sure there's a green option on the ballot. I wouldn't even feel it was worthwhile voting if there wasn't. So let's just work hard to make sure that we've got enough volunteers that we can make sure there are green candidates running in the next election, and that we are working to get those who feel disenfranchised and cut out of the electoral process to come into our fold so that we can help them express themselves more fully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janine. So that is the end of our questions or topics section of this evening. And finally, we'll be moving into closing remarks, where each candidate will have 90 seconds to speak on whether they want to clarify some of their ideas, if they want to thank James for his decades of service to the as leader, or whatever you see fit. So the starting of this order, the order we'll go through will be Donovan, then Dennis, Janine, and closing with Nick. So Donovan, we're over to you.
Well, yeah, of course. Let's see if we can make James cry by. I mean, generally, James has been an amazing leader within my time in the party. So much of what he does, how he conducts himself, is a lot that I want to carry forward into my leadership style. Might need a couple of coaching sessions too. No, but really, I mean, I think I give you a good idea of myself. Really, I have always personally seen political activism and partisanship and getting into this whole crazy bureaucratic sphere as kind of just the next level of my community activism, of giving myself the opportunity to use the power of the binding vote. And I really think as we present that to people, as we get groups on board with that idea, we'll have a lot of success. I firmly believe there are a lot of great community leaders out in Manitoba who, if they had any interest in partisanship, they would absolutely, they're leaders within their community, they would absolutely be amazing winning star candidates. We just need to kind of get them past the dirty side of politics, really show them what we can do for them, and reframe it that we are making them an offer. And we are not, we can give and take, but really we should be giving more than we're taking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donovan. Next, we'll move on to Dennis.
Thanks, Devlin, for the last time. Donovan totally agreed. James, you're leaving us big hiking boots to fill. So I'd like to continue by commending and congratulating my fellow candidates, Donovan, Janine, and Nick. Each of you have shown a lot of courage and dedication just by stepping forward and putting your names in the contest. And with the four of us, we have a significant mix of skills, experiences, perspectives, ideas, energy, and enthusiasm. I'm very excited and optimistic that no matter the outcome of our election, the four of us can work together as a team and help our party move forward. I'd like to put in a little plug. Over the next several weeks, I'll be hosting several sessions for GPM members and also non-GPM members to meet with me to ask any questions and chat on anything of interest, even bowling. So visit my Facebook page or website. Did I say it earlier? DenisBayomi.com for more information. Finally, I'd like to thank the GPM Leadership Contest Committee for organizing this event, especially our President Pearson and Devlin for emceeing. All your hard work is greatly appreciated. Finally, thank you to all of you in person and online for participating in tonight's event. Good night. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Dennis. Next, we'll move on to Janine for your comments.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'd just like to sum up by saying that one of the principles that underlie our policies is that of health, that the health of individuals and communities cannot be separated from the health of our ecosystems. And that means healthy water, healthy soil, and these together produce healthy crops that foster the health of animals and people. And to that end of striving to protect our pure, wonderful pure water that we enjoy in Manitoba, I invite everyone to join us, those of us in Southeast Manitoba, fighting to protect our precious drinking water by writing to the CO Silica Clean Environment Commission hearings that are going to be taking place in the next month. We really need to, make presentations and write so that they understand that mining does not belong in our drinking water. This is a very urgent issue that I'll be working on throughout this campaign, and hopefully we can put a stop to this kind of exploitive, extractive production as we move towards models that respect one another and respect the environment and respect us all as being primarily relations. And I just want to say, to honor that, I wear this regalia given to me by the people of Grassy Narrows for our assistance in helping them with solar panels in a blockade. And I honor all those who stand up for what they believe in. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Janine. And last but not least, we'll move to Nick. And again, we'll do the
Mic check. Mic check. Is my mic still on my
shirt?
Okay. Thank you, Devlin. Thank you, contestants. Thank you, Green Party members and all Manitobans. We have the opportunity to radically change society. We've been waiting for radical change. And I don't think that radical change has to be scary or dangerous or really risky. We know that there are good ways to do these things. In fact, some of these ways are the first ways that we've done these things, or that these things were done, that we've gotten together as a society, that we've gotten together as a community. And there are people out there that are waiting for us to take the lead to do that. So I'm excited for the chance to serve in whatever capacity that is. I think we have a lot of will, a lot of determination in our group, and I have every confidence in the world that not only will there be 4 successful contestants in this campaign, that there will be a successful campaign in the provincial election, and that not only will Green Party succeed, but I think that Manitoba will succeed as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick.
So that brings an end
To our evening. So in closing, I want to thank all the attendees here in the room, all the attendees online that have taken time out of their busy schedules to be here. I want to thank all the media for their participation as well, and as well the candidates for taking time out of their meetings, but volunteering and putting names forward to become a leader of the party. Thank you very much. And would also like to thank the organizers, including the Winnipeg Public Library, which is where we're holding this event this evening. So thank you very much as well. And then finally, a reminder that the deadline to become a member in order to vote is this Friday, February 24th at 11:59 p.m. So just a reminder, you can go to the greenparty.nb.ca/join in order to become a member. So I encourage anyone that is not a member to consider joining and make sure that your voice is heard. Thank you very much, everyone. And I think James may want to say a word.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Hi all. Apologies for checking. James Bedham, leader of the Green Party of Manitoba till March 26th, but one of these great people are going to take over. I just wanted to give people a quick announcement. Just found out today, and that's that Elizabeth May is going to be coming to town, as well as Jonathan Pendo, in March 2nd to the 4th, I believe. And we're looking at some events. Stay tuned for further announcements, but there'll be a press conference on March the 2nd. And then also a meet and greet on Friday, March the 3rd. That's going to be around sort of looking at five-ish to seven-ish, but looking at a potluck for a bunch of Greens to come out. So actually, I think some of you may or may not know Gail Willen Anns, who's volunteered her space. So we have a space and a potluck for Greens to come out to meet and greet. Put a little bit more party in Green Party, as I've heard some of my wonderful successors say. So I just wanted to let people know about that March 3rd, Friday evening. Save the date for yourself. Be a great chance to mingle, and leadership contestants stick around, as we're hoping all of you could also be there as well for your chance to meet and mingle. So that's it. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make that announcement so people knew. Thank you everyone for coming and all the work of everyone that organized this and all the contestants.
And we are done. Do you want to say a word or two, Pearson? Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. Okay. Before we go, one last person.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, everyone. James?
Sorry, down in front. One more announcement.
One more announcement. One last person to thank, who obviously not thank himself, was Devlin and Hinchey, who had graciously acted as a moderator. But yeah, for those of you online, that concludes the leadership conference today. If you do live in Manitoba, I know a number of our observers were not in Manitoba. Please do make sure to join the Green Party of Manitoba if you haven't already. And if you do have any questions, there's lots of contact information on our website, greenparty.md.ca, as well as profiles and beautiful photos of these four amazing. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night. We'll end the live stream.